Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to customize another controller, but it's going to be just the back and the plate cover, and it's going to be for a hockey team, the Penguins. So let's go ahead and get started. It's going to be a fairly simple design, but it's going to turn out pretty nice. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, and then as you can see, we've already painted this controller, and if you notice, there is another controller to the left of us, and we have already painted that one. So we're painting two controllers at the same time, and on this video we're just highlighting the Penguins one. So we've already sanded the controller, we've painted it black, and then we've applied a clear coat on top of that, sanded that down, and then now we're going to apply the decal, which we created in Illustrator, and then cut that out in regular vinyl decal, and now we're applying that directly on the back of the controller. The back of this controller is a little bit tough because you have a lot of different surfaces that go up and down, and then applying a decal on there, it's a little bit hard because once you apply it, let's say to the back of it, once you start going up and around, the vinyl itself, the decal, tends to wrap around the shape of the controller, which distorts the design. So it's a little bit tricky to get it just right, so it's on there but it doesn't look distorted, and the vinyl stencil itself is not crimped or pinched in any way. So that's a little bit difficult on these controllers, especially on the back, but if you apply a little bit of heat, it'll be a little bit more soft and you'll be able to stretch it a little bit. It's a little hard to see, but you can see the stencil is already on there, so we just got to cover the background. And in this case, I had leftover vinyl, so I'm just using that as masking tape, if you will, so trying not to waste a lot of material. I noticed with working with a lot of vinyl decals, it's always easier to put it on a flat surface and peel the backing off that way, instead of trying to do it like in the air, which tends to result in, like, maybe once you peel it off, it'll tend to curl up on itself. So especially if you're doing a large decal and trying to apply that, you want to use a flat surface like a table, and then apply the backing, or remove the backing, I should say. This way the decal itself doesn't curl up on you. And this is the way we ended up doing this one. It's not that big, but because it had a lot of detail, I wanted to make sure that everything fell right into place. And of course I wanted to line up the edges of the cover with the edges of the actual stencil that I have there, because they're somewhat similar, and I wanted the logo to fall right in the center, and everything's already lined up on the computer, so all I had to do is just line those two up. The logo should fall right in the center. Alright, and all the stencils are put together, everything's already masked, and we're gonna apply the base coat here of white. I've added a little bit of auto-borne sealer. This way it gets a little bit a little bit hard, so, and it actually sticks a little bit better onto that clear coat that we sanded down, and this way when we peel off the stencil, it doesn't come off and rip it right off. So I added a little bit of auto-borne sealer. You don't have to, but it always does help, so it makes it more durable. So we're going to apply several coats until we're happy with the results, and we're getting the white as possible and as smooth as possible. And I try not to go thicker than the actual stencil itself. The stencil has a couple of millimeters that is kind of thick, so I don't want to go beyond that, because once you go beyond that, you try to take off the stencil, it rips right off. So try to keep it thinner than the stencil if you can. So the original has a golden drop shadow, which I wasn't sure if I was going to use a regular brush or this particular paint marker, And then looking at the details, I noticed that it might be easier for me to use this paint marker and then retouch it up with a brush if I needed to. Now this particular paint marker is oil based, so I will be spraying a little bit of waterborne sealer before I apply the clear coat again. Otherwise it'll start to bleed a little bit, or it won't apply over it and it'll just kind of try to shrink up. So we'll go ahead and set this aside and work on the cover. So the cover itself has already been painted in white and has applied a little bit of waterborne sealer on the top. So right now what I'm doing is spraying the black on there, which does have a little bit of waterborne sealer. Normally when I do plastics, I add a little bit of waterborne sealer in every single coat or color that I use. This way I know for sure it's pretty durable and it's not going to peel off when I'm laying or layering colors down. So let's go ahead and remove the stencil and see what that looks like. Usually when I do a stencil, I know I'm not going to get all the details in there, so I'm not really worried about it because I can come back with a regular brush and apply stuff that is missing. So I just want to paint the majority of the shape of whatever I'm painting, and then worry about the details later. So that's what happened here. As you can see, there's some details missing, like in the glove and in the skates and stuff like that. So I'll be coming back here a little bit later and applying those details down with a regular brush. When painting anything, you really have to be patient because some of the green is not as opaque as you wanted it to be. It doesn't cover as much, so you may have to put several layers down. So just know that ahead of time and don't get discouraged. Just keep applying layer after layer until you get the desired look of the color, and then you should be good to go on to the next color and the next detail. Alright, we're almost done with the cover here. I'm just going back here and adding some more details to the black after some of the white overbled and stuff like that. So just remarking the lines, trying to make them as sharp as possible. And then we're going to move back to the back of the controller and remove that stencil and see what that looks like. And of course, I mentioned this before, with stencils you will always have some sort of cleanup afterwards, especially when you have a lot of curves like this one. So as you can see, we have a little bit of work to do in the white area around the main logo, and then inside as well. Alright, and we're a few steps away from finishing this controller. Obviously we have a little bit of cleanup to do, which you will always have that cleanup to do when you're doing a stencil and the thing or the item is curved. So let's go ahead and do that cleanup and see what that looks like. Alright, and the controller is done. All we gotta do is clear coat the entire thing, and yeah, it looks pretty good, I think. And so we had to do a little sample swatch to showcase a heat sensitive paint that we had on hand. So that's what we're doing that, and as you can see, you apply a little bit of heat and everything changes or becomes clear. So I thought that was kind of cool. Did that before doing the clear on all of these controllers. This way everything gets shot in one go. So that's what we ended up doing here, and as you can see, that's already dry, and so is the controller. And let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright, and there you guys have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's always a very different process for each project depending on the design. You know, sometimes you have to use stencils and sometimes you have to use a brush. So that's what makes it really fun for these projects. And yeah, just hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and there's nothing else for me to say, but I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.